panel discussion today. This is really a compelling one. The double-edged sword, Google and its other internet platforms, and its effect on the creativity of architectural profession. So I wish to move ahead with the discussion. My first question for you, Pinaki, it's regarding how has the internet and the digital technologies influenced the practice of architecture in today's world. Since we have seen from the days which were 30 years back, and today we are at 2023. So, how do you feel, and what are your insights about the observations that you have seen all throughout the years?
With the advent of internet services, the drafting has taken a major change. We are now being able to see that repetitive plans are very easy taken out. It hardly takes any time to make repetitive plan. Informations are readily available on the internet, and in fact, consultation between different consultants staying in different parts of the country is so much more convenient, and we can arrange meetings and sit together and discuss a problem which otherwise would take a lot of time, effort as well as money. Also, there is another subsequent problem that we are facing with the advent of internet is the information overload. For us, through information we gather knowledge and we utilize it in our projects. But for a layman, this information seems to attract them, and they feel that set of information is a final knowledge for them. And they try to influence the design process, and at times it becomes really difficult for us, and it's another level of challenge to tackle such a client who has such information overload.
Okay. So your answers are very inclusive actually. But this is in the positive side or in the negative side?
Every such discoveries and invention will have a positive and a negative side. They run parallel. How best we utilize it to the best of our, to the need of our profession is for us to do, and we do it in a way which is positive for us. We have been utilizing it. We have been able to deliver works at a very fast pace. Planning takes a lot of time, but then after that, the drafting and the reproduction of the same hardly takes any time. But for clients who come with information overload, it becomes another project part of the project to tackle such a client.
So my next question is for Rittick. As being a senior panelist, you have seen practicing architecture from that old traditional drawing board to the computer screen, which we are all been using right today. So, what do you miss during these transitions from the drawing board to the CAD, that is a computer-based design technologies? What do you miss?
I think I really miss the drafting day, and in the sense that you could immerse yourself in the design. You get a better understanding of scale, you get a better understanding of proportion, of materials. Because I think once you get into your computer, I mean, that is what I have seen, because I have seen both the drafting, I have done drawings, office drawings, like hand drawn as well as in computer. So I feel there is a big advantage to hand drawn drafting, especially for younger people to also learn their trade, to learn the skill, to learn architecture. So I think they are missing that part of it, the scale part of the.
Yeah.
And however, nowadays I think you need more buildings. We saw some graphics earlier, the amount of buildings that we need to be making. It's not possible, of course, to do that. So it's a good thing that we have only software. So my only thing is that I hope it gets used, without losing out on the very essential aspects of architecture. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah. Students present over here, they should carefully listen to these sort of answers. Actually, today you see the mouse is controlling your mind. Actually, the mind should control your design. In a way, today indirectly, mouse is controlling your design also. So that is zooming out, zooming in. Initially, in the drawing, while working on the drawing board, you can enter thing is zoom out, zoom in at a time. But here, you can part and partially also work on the designs, which is, I think, the design is always incomplete. You cannot think full scale. I think.
Just
Yes.
a couple of points to which what Rittick just told. What I felt in the beginning, and it's still on. Whenever I start planning a thing, I start doing it manually in freehand sketches. That's where I feel that the mind is flowing. The design can be processed that way. Once it has reached to a certain level, then only I feel comfortable transferring it to a computer. Till that time, it's freehand sketches which evolves a design for us. I don't know what new generation feels, but for us, it's still that way. I think.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. CAD is actually computer-aided drafting. It's not computer-aided design. It's misunderstood in a way. This is not computer-aided design. It's a drafting only. Thank you.
I'd like to just add up to what Pinaki said, that speaking for the young architects, we started using AutoCAD from the third semester of our college, because first year it was not allowed. Despite that, I am actually proud to say that I do all my designs on the paper itself. That is the first thing where we where in my office what we do is we actually design on the paper and then we transfer it to the CAD part.
Yes. So again, Aditya, coming back to you, in connection to Pinaki's answer, do you believe that today the contemporary, that means today's the architects, the over reliant on internet-based informations, and does it hamper on the creativity of the architects?
So, in fact, not just the contemporary architects, today's day practicing architects are all dependent on the internet. The dependency depends on their contemporariness. I mean, the point here I'm trying to make is when you talk about any project, so we have two components to it. One is the designing component, which happens on the paper, CAD or thing, and the second part is the execution. So when, as far as architects are concerned, both are equally important. I would rather say that execution part is further more important than the designing part, because what we design is getting executed at the site is very important. So as far as designing is concerned, I would definitely say that we are a lot dependent on the computers, because what is happening with a lot of contemporary architects is that supposing you have a project of a bungalow, and the plot size is whatever the plot size is there. So what we do, or what people do, is just tend to use the easier way out. Just go to the Google, look for images, and try to replicate that. So that dependency, I would say, is very bad. It is where the creativity has been restricted. The other, on the flip side, I would say that the positive impact what the internet has been doing to us is, in a single moment, is that we can exchange ideas all over the globe. So the problems can be sorted, and some new ideas can be developed, and brainstorming can be done. So that is the flip side of using internet. So there are both aspects to it. It all depends on the architect or the contemporary architect who wants to use it in what way.
Okay, perfect answer for the young architects actually. Thank you. See, again, our concern about the informations that we get from Google or all these Pinterest and all these internet platforms. How do you think, and what do you think about the authenticity and credibility of these informations? And what check should the architects do?
So this is actually a very important question. We always, more or less, directly or indirectly, we are dependent on internet. But the thing is that now internet is basically a platform from where we can get the different information from different sources. So now the first thing that every architect or whoever working or trying to get some information from the internet, they have to see whether the source of information is the verified one or not. That is most important. Just because we have got some information in Google, we cannot follow that. And these mistakes also we can see sometimes it happens. I've seen some of the people, they simply do it. Whenever you ask from where you have got this, they will say that internet. But it is not the answer actually. Internet is not the ultimate source. Definitely we need to get the information, but from a verified source in the internet.
Yeah. That means one shouldn't just check the number of viewers. Normally, what we follow, we first, for getting any information, we go through the number of viewers, the remarks, the comments the previous viewers used to put. So if they say yes, it is good, they good comment, then it simply blindly we go and just follow that side. So I think that should not be done.
That should not be done. Basically, more or less in architectural courses, we basic things everyone learn. So based on that, definitely we need to cross-check it. And apart from that, if something very new comes to us, then definitely we should follow the websites or the sources which are verified. Maybe from the government sector, maybe some very academic background, some academic resources, maybe some research paper from some very well-renowned institute. Those can be done, but blindly following internet information is not acceptable or not appreciable also.
Coming to our panelist, she is also a professor of School of Architecture. So, Amrita, I have a questions specifically regarding the education in architecture. So, the old style of, that is the traditional style of architectural education was somewhat different, and it has to be different to accommodate today's generations. So, what is your take on this? What are the steps that has been put into place to accommodate?
I think classical way of teaching architecture at various aspects are universal, and they will be universal. For example, starting to draft with the drafting tools, parallel bar, T-scale, set square is inevitable. So the initial ages or initial semesters, the current schools are also adopting that. So there is, of course, no computer allowed or taught before they go to the fourth semester, at least the ones that I know of. So the initial visualization and understanding of scale and proportion has to be by hand-drafted drawings. In terms of methodology, I believe that these universal ways of getting onto the foot of architecture is undeniable. Having said that, of course, with the changing times and needs, there are times that we are bound and forced to resort to the computerized methods. So the curriculum that is suggested by Council of Architecture, I believe very well takes care of that in terms of methodology. In terms of subjects, I think there are these classical subjects like building construction, building materials, history of architecture, which are still securing their places. So the syllabus, despite numerous revisions, but to also cope up with the current need, we have GIS, BIM. So sometimes it gets a little overwhelming for the students. So if I compare with, in fact, my batch and the current batches, the number of subjects that they have to be at least aware of, if not learn wholeheartedly, is way more. So now there are also subjects like architectural journalism, which is a mandate, disaster mitigation. Earlier, things which were offered as electives are now made mandatories. So with the new education policy at place, there is this diverse canvas that is being prepared, which I feel quite well responds to the needs of the current times, having the classical things at place. In terms of submissions, I think there are, it may sound very petty and naive, But then there are interventions at studio levels that many schools across the country has been doing. Like we all of are aware of redos, that we get redos in sheets. So on a sustainable note, now we've started allowing students to use the flip side of the redo sheets for newer sheets. Also, in order to optimize the printing, there are these possibilities of discussing things online in virtual modes. So I think the curriculum is more equipped to respond to these kind of needs of the hour.
Coming back to Pinaki, today, see, we feel the phenomenon of streets, buildings, and all the canvases of the city, they are on a prototype basis. The character of a city, character of roads, the designs that we see in Delhi, it's getting prototyped here in Guwahati. It's getting prototyped in Bangalore or anywhere else. So this is not a good sign, I believe. And its uniqueness from city to city has lost. Do you think internet is the biggest culprit for this development?
We cannot blame internet for everything that is happening bad in terms of building developments. See, intermingling of religious practices, intermingling of cultural events are happening all over the world. So there will be situations wherein there will be intermingling of architectural features and designs, and things will be replicated from one place to another. These are some inevitable things. There is another level of in which we can think about it. Immediately after passing out from a college, when a person starts practicing, there is a pressing demand and economic compulsion for which a person would go into developing schemes which are more prototype, which will be easily comprehended by the people, not difficult to understand, and more of a economic viability is created through the project. And that is how such prototype projects are being created. And it is not just happening in India, any part of the world it is happening. You just can lift a building from USA and bring it to Guwahati. It will be no different. It is just that they spend more than what we do here because of various reasons. Also, if in case we look into our architectural education, we see that the basic features, fundamentals of architectures are taught. The different aspects of building designs are taught. They teach us to be innovative, but how much of an emphasis at the college level is given in providing the education that will culminate amongst the students the thought factor that when we go back and practice, we will start practicing in a very regional manner. And we will try to promote such projects which is going to, be more realistic to the location in which we are practicing. It doesn't happen. There are courses about history of architecture, but that is featuring not just one specific region. It happened. The history from some parts of India will be taken up, some parts of the world will be taken up. So there is nothing that gives us specific information about it. To start practicing with regional features, one has to really earn knowledge in that sector. And there are not too many schools. There are few centers who do it, but the economic viability doesn't stand that way.
Okay. Actually, my question was that rather than, especially this is a question practically involving the corporate players. See, a KFC in Delhi, in KFC in US, in KFC in Guwahati looks similar. Why? It should have the local characters. KFC, they should have common elements, but at least they should have some different templates. For a place like Assam, for a place like Delhi, for a place in US, they can have some different template, different thought process with a common as in the common element. Can they do it? What do you think?
It is possible. You have to invest some extra time in order to do that. It's an economic compulsion which actually keeps away from doing that. That is what the major factor is, I feel. If in case we are in a position to invest more time for a project, perhaps those elements will return. If in case you seriously look into how much of an actual time we give into a project, then we will realize it is by the count of how many projects we are handling that we see what type of an architect that person is, instead of how good a project that he has been or she has been able to execute.
That is understood, but at the same time,
Yes, academically it's very important, it's very essential that we harness among the students those ideas of regional tests which will be more reliable, which will actually be lesser burden to the environment than creating a prototype and replicating it everywhere.
it's high time to inspire the local architects.
Yes, there should be incentive for such practices. The government should also initiate some program to incentivize these practices.
Thank you. So coming back to Rittick, the modern architects being overloaded with internet ideas. Same is happening with the clients also. So often as an architect, we encounter clients who are overloaded with Google knowledge. Before approaching your office, they become already an architect, unofficial architect. So they used to come and explain you about the designs and all this. Beforehand, you start something on your own. And it is very frustrating for all the architects. Because these clients are God, we cannot say anything everywhere. So how do you deal with those sort of clients to ultimately achieve a collaboration with them is for a successful projects, even if they are overloaded with Google knowledge?
Yeah, that is a problem I think all of us face, but I don't think that's a very universal problem. I think there are a lot of clients who are willing to listen also. There are some which have their preconceived ideas. So as an architect, you have to assess whether you want to take that project first of all. If you feel the client is wants a particular thing and he's come to you to implement what he thinks of, what he has in mind, so you have to kind of get it out of his system. If you cannot, you might as well say no, So personally, I think I have dealt it like that. I'm trying to avoid picking up projects where there too much ideas are coming from clients. I don't know whether you got your answer, but
No, that is okay. That is another very frustrating factor.
so I mean, just refuse.
Yeah, we should refuse it. Yeah. Or why don't we educate them?
Depends how much time you have, how much time you will give it to.
But see, architect, we are socially responsible to educate our client, the citizen.
No, you see, there are some clients which I tell you who have, I have come across clients who have believed every word I said, every line I've drawn. I've said it will be like this. They say, you don't want to do anything here, you don't want to add anything here, you don't want to, So I remember those clients and they have come back to me as well. So I think there are a lot of clients who will take your word very seriously and will follow exactly what you say. So the thing is that hopefully we should do our work in such a way that you get those clients, the clients you want, they should be able to find you. So it's a two-way street, right?
Coming back to Aditya, the practice is highly dependent on internet. We all are accepting the facts. It's a fact. But somehow, if Google goes for a holiday for a week, or internet goes for a holiday for a week,
First, we need to understand that how are we dependent on internet. So I personally feel we are dependent on internet for in two ways. I feel a more important one is the communication part of it. We are dependent on internet, communicating with our clients, communicating with our consultants, communicating with the execution team. Any company can have. We are actually dependent on internet for communication within our WhatsApp use. So that is one way we are how we are dependent on internet. And as I had said in my previous question as well, that we are actually extracting a lot of data out of it, which may not be knowledge. It has been mentioned earlier. So data and information has been. We need to learn how to filter it. If the internet goes down for a week, say, so communication will definitely get hampered a lot, which will definitely slow down the project, slow down the progress of works. But I don't think it will actually stop the works. We have a very good example in front of us in the case of Manipur. Manipur is not having internet for the past how many months. So it's not like that the work had stopped. It's been going on. The progress and the communication has become a little slow, and we have to be a little more patient because the internet has actually made us impatient.
So that means the detoxification in our office is also important thing.
It's very important. I would say that I would recommend everyone to practice that internet detox maybe once in 6 months for offices, so that we are prepared for the worst case scenarios as well.
My question, that was Google on holiday. Now actually the architect should be on the holidays. In today's style of architecture, everything has become modular. So, in fact, the larger projects do not be developed in a modular way. It is a repetition in so many ways. So, do you think this is a future trend of architecture, modular design?
Yeah, definitely. It is in a present day world, we have seen many projects which is already completed by using different type of modular, different type of modular elements. So basically, but personally, I don't think that modular design can be used in all kind of works. Definitely, there are certain limitations in if we talk about the creativity. In that point of view, there are certain limitations in modular design, and modular design also is not, or it may not be, cannot be applicable in all kind of projects. For certain cases, it is fine, but definitely we have to think about the way of creativity that can be implemented through modular design also. If we need to go for a modular design, we have to think of that also. In other way, the conventional way of design is always there. Yeah, definitely, in some extent, it is hampering the creativity in modular design.
That means it is again the matter of pre-production and post-production. So while doing this modular, inspiring this modular design, so pre-production is more comfortable.
Yes.
After post-production has got very less flexibility actually. Coming back to Amrita, that is related to your education, like let's say, regarding ethics in architecture and the infringement of copyright, how are you educating your students regarding this intellectual property rights? Are they will they be assured of not copying anything after coming out from the college?
That's actually a very challenging question to answer. With my limited experience, I am quite sure that the students that I have come across will not copy. The first thing I have observed that incentivizing actually really helps. For example, it is actually very difficult to keep them away from the glittery world of internet. And when compared to books, it's always more enticing. But creating a scope for them to work in an authentic environment, I think can be a good tool to imbibe in them the value and virtue of authentic work. So just for a quick example, for the first semester students, I think everyone here has done this assignment of anthropometry where we refer to Newforts and make sheets of a person in different postures and what kind of dimensions the different postures require. There's a slight twist that we have started doing in our studio that before they go to Newfort, we divide them into groups and find out students of different heights and sizes and make them measure their own batchmates. So by doing this, I have noticed in the last 2-3 years that they have a better understanding, as well as they have lesser dependency on the internet when they do it by hand, with their own hands. Also, this allows them to know that standards are not universal. Another change that we have made is that earlier we used to give them handwritten assignments, where it is actually very easy to look at what ChatGPT is saying and write it down, and there is actually no way for you to cross-check. So, as a method, what some of us have done, that we now give them submissions online. So they have to submit us in Google Word. And by submitting it in Word, we can upload it in a plagiarism software. It becomes easier for us also, because of course it's not possible for you to go through all the internet sources. But plagiarism softwares do have that. So they feel that you don't have to handwrite it, and they can type it. But if they're copying it from somewhere in the plagiarism check, it reflects. So this way, I think there is a check that we can keep on. At the same time, with the previous methods that I have mentioned about, I think the fine line that is there between inspiration and copying can be sort of kept on a check.
Thank you. So, with this, we have almost completed all the probable questions that we could explore from our panelists today. So, you all have done and given a unique and excellent suggestions and advice to the questions we put forward to you. So, I personally thank you all the panelists for making this panel discussion quite enriching. And at the bottom line of this panel discussion, so what we could understand is that this technology, this art and architecture, if it runs together, it can really create a better world. That is, we can discover so many undiscovered and unseen things in the world to come. Let us take it forward and let us use internet responsibly, and wish you all a very best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.